Hi students, welcome to physics class. Today we are going to discuss about multiplication of a vector by a scalar. Once again, today our concept is multiplication of a vector by a scalar. Now go for discussion. When a vector when a vector consider a vector when a vector a is multiplied is multiplied by a scalar multiplied by a scalar, yes, it becomes a vector yes, a vector whose magnitude is s times the magnitude of a vector and it acts along the direction of a vector. Once again, I am repeating this point. When a vector a is multiplied by a scalar s, it becomes a vector sa whose magnitude is s times the magnitude of a, and it acts along the direction of a vector. Now go for some important points. If a vector is equal 100 newtons due to west s is equal 10 seconds. Therefore, SA vector is equal 10 into 10 seconds 10 seconds into 100 newtons due to west. Due to west. What we understood from this one? That is the unit of SA. The unit of SA vector is different from the unit of vector A. Once again, that is the unit of SA is different from the unit of vector A. This is the meaning for that one. So this is about multiplication of a vector by a scalar. Now we are going to discuss about addition of vector method. Addition of vector method. Once again, now we are discussing about addition of vector method. Now go for the discussion. Now take, it is a vector A. Take any direction, it is a vector B. It is a vector B. Now what is the resultant? Go for discussion. Take a vector, its name is OP. Its name is OP. The direction is from O to P. The vector is, say, A. A is a vector here. A is a vector. Now, I took another vector. Its name is PQ. PQ. The vector is, say, B vector. The vector is, say, B vector. The vector say B vector. Now where the resultant? The resultant always from O to Q. The resultant always from O to Q, like this. This is called resultant. That resultant we can write as R is equal R vector is equal A vector plus B vector. A vector plus B vector. Once again, I am repeating. Now take a vector OP. The direction is from O to P. The OP vector we can call as A vector. Now take another vector PQ. The direction is from P to Q. The PQ vector we call as B vector. Now the resultant of OP and PQ is OQ, that is towards the O to Q, towards the Q. This is also we can write as OP plus PQ is equal to OQ, or we also write as OQ is equal to OP plus PQ. OP plus PQ. Remember, if it is O to P, P to Q, Q to O, means it is a triangle. But here what is that one? O to P, P to Q. Where the resultant? Resultant is from O to Q. That is called resultant. This is called resultant. This is one example. Now go for another one. Now take another example. Take a vector. This is O. This is P. The direction of this vector is from O to P. Consider the vector name is A vector. Now I took another vector B vector. That is take another vector from O to once again. Now take a vector that is O to P. Consider like that. Now take another vector that is S to P. S to P. The direction is from S to O. Consider the vector is B vector. Now tell me, where is the resultant? The resultant, we expect that SOP, yes. SOPS. No. But here the resultant is from S to P. The resultant is from S to P. This is important. This is called resultant. This is called resultant vector. The resultant vector is from S to P. Now go for discussion. Here now take OP. OP is a vector. Consider that OP is equal to A vector. Consider another vector SO. SO is a vector. Its name is, say, B vector. Now consider OP vector. First SO vector plus OP vector gives SP vector. This is called resultant. Here consider SP vector is equal to resultant vector. Now what is SO? First SO is equal to B vector plus what is OP? OP is equal to A vector. That is equal to what is SP? SP is equal to R vector. SP is equal to R vector. We have to solve the numericals or the content is like that. This is the just a given example. Please note down. This is also we can write it as a vectors. No issue, no problem. This is also very important. Keep mind the gap. Now we are going to discuss some deep concept about this one. Please note down these important points. Now I would take number of vectors. Example, I take here. This is a OP. The direction is from O to P. That means OP is a vector. Consider that OP is a vector A. It is a vector A. That is vector A. Now I took another vector from P to Q. P to Q. This is a vector Q. Consider it is a vector B. It is a vector B. What we understood from that one? PQ vector is equal to B vector. This is we understood. Now tell me, where is the resultant? The resultant is obviously from O to Q. The resultant is obviously from O to Q. This is called R. This is called vector R. 1. Consider vector R1. Now how we can write as? We write as O Q vector is called R1. R1. Now tell me, how we got this one? We got it as OQ is equal to OP vector plus PQ vector. Direction is important. PQ vector. That means R1 is equal to what we got? A vector OP plus B vector. Okay. Now go to second point. Now I took another vector from P2. Yes, I took another vector from here like this. Like this. In this direction. Consider the vector name is S. I consider that before that I took another vector from Q to S. Q to S. Like this. This Q to S is a vector. Consider its name is C vector. Its name is C vector. Now tell me, here, leave this one. How many vectors we have? We have B vector and C vector. Now, P2S gives the resultant of B and C. Consider this is R2 vector. What we understood from this one? We understood that case 1 is over. Go to case 2. PQ vector is equal to B. Okay. Similarly, QS vector is equal to C vector. Now, what is PS? PS vector is equal to R2 vector. What we understood from this one? We understood that PQ vector plus QS vector is equal to PS vector. Okay, that means what we understood from this one? PS vector is equal to PQ. PS vector is equal to PQ plus QS. PQ vector plus QS vector. Now tell me, what is PS? PS is equal to R2 vector. Okay. Plus what is PQ? PQ is equal to B vector. Plus what is QS? QS is equal to C vector. That means how many vectors we took here? 1, 2. Because of these two, we will get a new vector. The new vector is opposite to the direction of the two vectors. Okay. Now come to the point. Here, how many vectors we have? We have 3 vectors. What are that? That is A, B, C. Where is the resultant? This is the discussion. So consider this is R1. This is R1. Now tell me how many vectors we have. This is the resultant. Leave this one. Now come to what are our original vectors. Our original vectors as A vector, B vector, C vector. Now, where is the resultant? O to P, P to Q, Q to S it's a natural direction. Now, where is the resultant? The resultant is from O to S. The resultant is from O to S. O to S. This is the main resultant. This is the main resultant. Okay? We also called as R. Now tell me how we got this one. Go for discussion. Now first tell me OP is equal A vector and also PQ is equal B vector and also QS is equal C vector. From this one, OP plus PQ plus QS is equal to OS and also OS is equal to R vector. Okay, now go for discussion. Here, first, OS or OP plus PQ plus QS is equal, what is the resultant? The resultant is not SO, OS. What is that one? OS. This is Q. So what we get? We get OS vector is equal to OP vector plus PQ vector plus QS vector. Now tell me, what is OS? R vector. R vector is equal to, what is OP? A vector. Plus, what is PQ? B vector. Plus, what is QS? C vector. That means the resultant OS. The resultant OS is equal to OA plus AQ plus QS. So this is about addition of vector method. We have to solve the vector addition method like this. And another method also there. What is that one? Now go for discussion. Now point by point. Let us consider. Let us consider two vectors A and B that lie in a plane, Full stop. To find the sum, to find the sum A plus B, we place vector B so that its tile is, it's a tile means take a vector, It is head. It is head. It is tail. Okay, here O, P. Consider like this. Here O is tail. O is tail and P is head. P is head. Now OB becomes vector. Consider that is vector A. That is vector A. This is the important point. You please remember. Tail. Its a tail is. Its a tail is at the head of at the head of the vector A. Vector A. We join, next point. We join the tail of A to head of B. This line OQ represents this line OQ represents a vector R represents a vector R1. That is the sum of the vector A and B. Now vectors are arranged head to tail. This graphical method is called the head to tail method. Head to tail method. Once again I am repeating this point, my dear cadets. Vectors are arranged head to tail. This graphical method is called the head to tail method. the two vectors and their resultant from three sides of a triangle so this this method is also known as triangle method of triangle method of vector addition. Now go for some points. Vector addition is Vector addition is commutative. Next, that is A plus B is equal to B plus A. Now, next point. Vector addition is Vector addition is obey associative law. That is A plus B half plus C is equal to A plus half B plus C. This is about next point. Vector addition is obey associative law. That is A plus B of plus C is equal to A plus of B plus C. Now, next point. Consider two vectors A and minus A. Their sum is A plus of minus A. Since the magnitude of the since the magnitude of the two vectors are the same, but the direction are opposite. But the direction are opposite. Now, next point. The resultant vector has zero magnitude. And is represented by O called null vector. Or a zero vector. Example, a plus minus a is equal how much? A minus a, that is equal 0. So now how the diagram is, go for discussion. Now take a vector OP. It is a vector A. Now take another vector like this PQ. Consider this is another vector A. Now if we can draw like this, this is resultant R vector. In this case, OP vector is equal to A vector and PQ vector is equal to also A vector and OQ is resultant R vector. Now tell me, OQ vector is equal to OP plus PQ. OP plus PQ. In this case, what is OQ? R vector is equal, what is OP? OP is equal A vector plus what is PQ? PQ is equal A vector. Okay, keep mind the gap. Now go for another diagram, that is, now please observe carefully. Here OP is equal to A vector, PQ is equal to A vector. Now R is equal to OQ vector, that is equal to A plus A. Now PQ is equal to A vector. If I can draw another vector opposite. Yes, like this. That is yes. Yes vector. Now consider if it is a PQ is equal A vector, then PS is this is opposite direction of this one. This is plus A. Obviously what this one? Minus A. Minus A vector. In this case, the resultant is this one. This is the resultant. The resultant we can call as R1. R1. Okay, now how it will be? Now go for discussion. OP. Now leave this one. Discuss about this one. OP is equal to A vector and PS is equal to minus A vector and the resultant. What is the resultant? OS is equal to resultant R1 vector. Therefore, OS is equal to OP plus PS. OP plus PS vector. That implies what is OS? R1 vector is equal to what is OP? OP is equal to A vector. Plus what is PS? PS is equal to minus A vector. Therefore, what is the resultant? The resultant is equal to 0. Like that, we have to estimate the 0 vector. Now, since the magnitude of a null vector is 0. Its direction cannot be specified. Its direction cannot be specified. Once again, I am repeating this point. Since the magnitude of a null vector is 0, its direction cannot be specified. Now, go to next point. The main properties of the main properties of null vector or 0 vector that is A plus 0 is equal to A and also A into 0 is equal to 0 or 0 into A is equal to 0. 0 plus A is equal to A. So this is another point. Now take x-axis, take y-axis, take two positions vector. This is P and this is P dash. Here the position vector is R, here is R dash. In this case, go for discussion. Suppose This is origin O. Suppose an object suppose an object which is at P, at a time small t moves to P dash, and then comes back to P, since the initial and final position coincide. The displacement is a null vector. Once again I am repeating this point. Now take x-axis and y-axis. It is a point P, it is a point P dash. Its position vector R, R dash. Now a vector here, it is starting from O to P and moves to P dash. After that once again moves from P dash to P. In this case the displacement is 0. If the displacement is 0, then the initial point and the final point should be coincide. If the initial point and final point should be coincide, then the displacement is called as null vector. This is another important point. My dear students, in this video we discussed so many important points. What are that? Addition of vector method or vector addition method. So please go through it. Thank you very much for watching this video.